Welcome back to minus 16. And look, all three of us are in the house. He's
Hello.
back from holiday, Alex.
Yeah.
Looking refreshed, relaxed, stress-free. Look at that boy.
Yes.
He's glowing.
give me a few more days, and I'll go back to being miserable.
We were just having a good chat before we started recording about quite how peaceful and beautiful it was out there. Yeah, it's got to be a harsh dose of reality coming back and working
It
again.
is. It's been definitely. Well, the power of editing, it's mounting.
Yeah,
out.
it doesn't go anywhere. And Daniel, how are you now? Because you were just about to come down with flu last time, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I've recovered, feeling a
Yeah.
lot better actually, and in a lot better of a sort of physical and mental space. So
Good
still been,
stuff.
still been busy, but I'm just trying to think. I think it's been about a year since I was in the
It
UK.
is. Yeah,
we
I think I was
started
walking down Piccadilly Circus to meet you, and
Yeah,
Damn,
you know,
that
and
was
then
quick.
I was out in the Cotswolds where I had my S25 Ultra
stolen, mislaid.
misplayed, don't know where it is. Then had to
Rest
buy
in
another.
peace.
Currently listed on eBay.
Yeah.
I told you
And,
not to say anything, man.
And as other podcasts, tech podcasts, fall by the wayside, i.e. Android Please to Understand is now finished and Genius Bar is finished, we are still here. So all of your tech needs are taken care of. Don't you
We've
worry
got it
about a
covered.
thing. So there is lots to talk about. The S25 Edge is now out. Last time around we were kind of alluding to it and mentioning it briefly. Alex has got all sorts to talk about on Xiaomi, all sorts of things. And then I'm going to be talking a little bit about CarPlay and touching on WWDC. But we're going to cover that properly next time round. And then we've got some YouTube chat, of course, at the end as well. So where to start? Maybe the S25 Edge. Now, you posted a really interesting video about that. I sat and watched it last Sunday. And I won't spoil it. Give us your take.
It's been a bit of an interesting sort of week with this phone because I got it last Friday and I started seeing all the rhetoric about it, you know, small battery. No one's asked for the phone to be thinner and make it worse by making it thinner. And I completely understand all of that talk on paper, but this is a phone that when you actually hold it, it's very, very transformative. Like, I can't really describe it. I mean, I know it's technically like my job to do that, but it's very hard to describe what the feeling is like when you get a phone that is like this thin in the hand. Like when you have it sort of next to the Ultra, like you can just see that difference, right?
Yeah.
And considering that this camera is the same main camera as the Ultra, and it's last year's ultra wide camera with the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, like it still has a lot about it. And the form factor kind of plays with your mind because you've got a 6.7-inch screen and the phone is the same weight as like a 6-inch screen and thinner than like a tablet. So it's quite incredible.
Because what is it, is it 5 point something thick?
5.8 mil.
Right,
thick.
Yeah.
And like it's for what it has inside it, like the 8 Elite for Galaxy, 12 gig of RAM. You've got a vapor chamber that's bigger than the S25 Plus. You've got the 200 megapixel main camera from the Ultra. Like that's a lot of tech in
That's
there.
a lot of RAM, isn't there?
It's a lot in a package this slim. And
Yeah.
I think people were writing it off based off what they saw on paper. And I think you've got to be very careful to do that because this isn't a phone that you buy to get the latest sort of specs. This is a phone that you buy to experience something different. Like we've been asking for something different for years. Smartphone manufacturers pretty much for the last 5 years have made the same phone over and over again and just upgraded internals and slightly better cameras. Form factor has not been a concern. So the fact that we now have something new and immediately everyone's first thought is to question its existence and ask who asked for it really upset me because we kind of have asked for it. Like
Everyone's got bored.
Indirectly, we've been complaining, and in some ways, the smartphone manufacturer's like, well, here's something different. And I was like, oh, no, that's not what we meant. Well, try it. Like
Can't have both ways.
physically try it in your hands because I have not been able to put it down. And that's kind of a problem because the battery is small, but it's a phone that you just enjoy holding because of it just, you can't quite believe what you're feeling.
Absolutely. So the closest I got to one was so I sent Shiv to Samsung when the launch was happening, and you know she got some footage from me, and I watched that and obviously heard from her firsthand experience what it was like, and exactly what Daniel said, because it's very, very different. it got me thinking when I honestly haven't watched anyone's video about the S25 Edge because I want to, for flagship stuff, I always try to, kind of reserve my judgment until I try the stuff myself. But it got me thinking, just looking at the thumbnails of who asked for this and, whatever. As Daniel was saying, I think I can see some of the resistance to it because they've been doing this for over 10 years, right? So over a decade, pretty much not much has changed unless you go into the foldable area. But in this format, I think it's quite refreshing to have something new. And, it kind of, I think that's the kind of the more kind of objective way of looking at it. The other one, the side of me that actually speaks louder in most of my videos is cynically, I reckon if this had been an Apple Air or whatever it is that's coming out, people would be falling over themselves and going, oh my gosh, how amazing, what a feat of engineering this is.
Well, I guess we'll see in a couple of months' time, won't we? Because from what we hear, we've got the Airs coming out.
And it's going to be priced the same as a Pro, and it's going to be more expensive than the Edge.
The Edge, where's that priced at?
Capable.
Where's the Edge at, price-wise?
It's about 100 less than the Ultra.
Right, so it's...
and that's been a sticking point for a lot of people. It's because for 100 more, the Ultra does offer, on paper, a lot more. You got 2 extra telephoto cameras. You got a more capable ultra-wide camera. You got the S Pen. You got a 5,000 milliamp battery. You got the anti-reflective coating. Like, there's a lot more that the Ultra can provide for you.
But you're also lugging around a big, heavy phone. Whereas with the Air,
you've also got the Edge. Kind of gives you a different experience, right?
Yeah,
because you're not paying for the specs. You're paying for the different feel it gives you. Like, and I think that's what people kind of miss. There's so much we've been asking for it. Like, that's the crazy thing. We've been asking for things.
We've been asking for a smaller Ultra. I know that's kind of not it yet, but that would be awesome as well. Like just a small version of the Ultra.
It's almost like what David was saying a few months ago when we did the pod about the Air, that it's kind of like Apple laying the foundations maybe for a foldable. Like the Edge is, I guess, laying the foundations for phones to be slimmer in the other categories. Like the Ultra can get slimmer from the way that they've built the Edge because they slimmed down the 200 megapixel camera module to fit into a more concise package. Like that can be put into the Ultra next year. And then that way, the way they fit batteries in can be sort of slimmed down. Like there's a lot that they can take from this phone and then move across to their mainstay lineup.
So just a thought that's crossed my mind. I mean, Samsung very much been pushing towards foldables and seeing how that market's gone, and it's never really taken off. I know you said it's quite big in China, but it's not Asia, become a huge thing. Do you think the thin phone era could actually sort of supersede the foldables? Because price-wise, the foldables we know are expensive. The thin phone, if this is anything, I mean, this is the first of them, but it's kind of the same price range, but more usable, and we're more used to it. I wonder if the pushback on the foldables has been, we don't really know what to do with it. Whereas this phone,
I think it needs to be a flagship product. Like, this is a flagship phone, but what I mean by that is it needs to be launched in the flagship range. So this basically would have to be replacing the main phone, so the Ultra, the one that sells the most phones, or you put this into the lineup to replace the Plus because it's the same screen size as the Plus. It needs to not be this own standalone launch where it just sort of becomes like its own existence and like a niche phone. It needs to become part of the mainstream release as opposed to its own niche release. When it does that, I think people will see it as a choice and gravitate towards it. But if you've got the other ones already there with bigger batteries and S Pens and more cameras, I feel like that's still the more obvious choice for the more common consumer. This will be a phone that niche people will be like, I have to have something different, and they'll gravitate towards this, at least right now.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how it goes with Apple when they release their, all the rumours are indicating it's happening. I'm sure it is. So, we're going to have the Pros. We've got the 16E. Well, so it'd be the 17 Pro, Pro Max. I don't quite know where it's going to sit because then it's, again, adding another bit of friction as to which device you decide to choose. There's a baffling array suddenly. Do you spend your money on the Pro, because this phone's going to be expensive, the Edge, or the Air, or do you go Air? It'd be interesting to see how they decide to pitch it as well. And of course, you've been using a whole host of different phones, Alex. And I mean, as far as I know, the Xiaomi's and Honors so far haven't gone the thin route, have they? But do you think they'll get onto the trend? And
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you look at Oppo are getting there. Their phones are. I mean, if you look at the Xiaomi foldable, the Honor foldable and the Oppo foldables, they are way thinner than the Samsung ones. So I think they've already got the tech and the engineering there. I mean, this is the Find N5, which I keep showing every time we talk. It's still, to me, the kind of the gold
that's the
standard.
Oppo, yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can kind of.
Yeah, it's just about picked it up. Yeah.
That's got a case on it.
Yeah, so that's it comes with the case, and it actually, it's quite a nice fidgety one. But I think it's naturally the tech is there. Battery will become a thing that, I think a lot of them already moved to a different tech in the battery, perhaps anticipating the need to become thinner. But yeah, it does make me wonder why Samsung didn't do that this year for the S25 Ultra. But then, we know the manufacturers probably don't have, the capacity to build a mass for everybody. Yeah, so maybe they could only cater for some certain smaller brands or smaller quantities.
There's a Note 7 element of it too, and I always have to do that when I talk about Note 7. Like they've gone down the route of batteries before and trying to build up the battery capacities, and it's backfired. Fired being the operative word. So I feel like So I feel like they probably are playing a bit of caution with it. And again, I think your point about manufacturing probably rings true as well, because it's got to be mass produced. The scale Samsung needs something like that built would be much bigger than the other brands maybe need.
Yeah, and of course, it's the Samsungs and Apples and Googles of this world that have got the financial clout to go and try something like this, haven't they? So Google haven't made anything, have they, about thin phones yet?
Nah, I don't think they are that hardware focused when it comes to Pixel lineup. Like they're there to compete and have an option, but I don't think that's their.
It's more a vehicle just for their software on.
Their priority is definitely the Android sort of ecosystem and making it as powerful as it can be on a scale that is bigger than any other manufacturer.
Now, hopefully, one of the reasons that people watch and listen to our pod is because we actually use our devices. We make a big point of that, we're not going to put a video up where we've just sat with it in a studio, turned on Wi-Fi and decided, oh, great, it's got a screen. Now, to that point, you've just been away on holiday, Alex, and we've mentioned it many times. Brazil, wasn't it, I seem to think? And so what do you pack then? How do you find using phones in the real world? I mean, away from studio, away from making videos, just you with the family. What do you turn to then?
Well, it was tricky. I mean, it was easier than I thought it would be this holiday, because I had two goals in my mind for the entire holiday. One was to obviously not stop working, because I appreciate that a month off YouTube is a long time, and I didn't upload. I think I uploaded a short that I had pre-recorded, but not a single long video was uploaded in a month. So knowing that, I knew that it would be good to capture a lot of content for afterwards. So I carried quite a lot of gear. In fact, just a little anecdote. I moved when I was getting to Brazil. I got stopped, and some funny looks from immigration or the people who look at your bags, right? What the hell? You've got, 'cause, 3 people, and you've got, I think just tablets alone, I had 6 tablets, 3 laptops, and I think it was 9 phones, not including my wife's personal and my son's personal phone. So yeah, it was a lot. So I had to, in the end, it was quite funny actually, because I showed them my channel. So look, I do this for a job, and they're like, really? What do you do? So I review them, like I show them my phone, my channel, and they're like, oh right, okay, fine, let's go through. And that, funny enough, helped me throughout the holiday. Just saying, do you know who I am, sort of thing.
Oh, I can't wait to trot that line out myself.
Honestly, it was quite. I never thought it would work. My car hire, I got like a week off, because they figured out that I was creating content just by my Instagram posts. It's just like, yeah. Anyway, it does help. But I didn't overuse it. I didn't say do I know. People just DM'd me sometimes saying I'm at the same hotel as you are. So it's
Wow.
good to it's good to post stuff.
Step
and
into the real world,
tag the location where you are, because people will go, all right, I'm there, and I know you or whatever. So it wasn't like I was
Depends if they
being
like you or
recognized.
not.
I think that's But anyway,
It's by the by.
that was a. But the point is, I took a lot of devices with me, and one of my videos is what's in my tech bag for this trip, and over.
Oh, we can see that video coming.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you have to make there's obviously some sponsors in there. So, but I tried to make the most of the trip, but at the same time, I wanted to take some days where I was doing no tech related anything, not even. So if you were going on a boat trip to one side of the island, I like, you know what, I want to remember these moments and not have to kind of be taking photos and videos. So it was awesome to do that and just spend time, with my son and my wife in this beautiful place without thinking, oh my gosh, everything's content. But there were definitely days where every 5 minutes I had, cameras up, microphones up, I'm recording this, even thinking ahead of using little clips to say, while I'm here in Brazil using this watch, and then I'll just cut it there. And then I'll just do some B-rolls just to kind of break, just it's like it's an opportunity that you don't get all the time, right? To be in a different place. So with the phones though, it was a really
So your main phone is still the S25 Ultra, isn't it?
it's the
Your main
S25
daily.
Yeah, my banking
That's got main
apps are
SIM
in
in.
it.
Yeah.
I go, where's your banking app? That's your main phone.
Yeah.
And obviously your SIM card is in it and all that. So yeah, that's the one that stays in my pocket everywhere I go. But on the holiday, I didn't pick it up as much as I thought I would for photos and videos, because
You
the
turn to
Xiaomi, and I
right.
did ask the brand, by the way, is Xiaomi. I used to say Xiaomi as well. But anyway, it was just, it's not perfect. And I will say that in my review, that there are some issues with it that I'm thinking, at that price, at that level of flagship style phone, you shouldn't really be struggling with battery. So battery is still a concern in there. It does this weird thing where I never seen any phone do, which is you get to use it fine for like 80% of the battery. When it gets to 20%, it's not like you gotta find a charger. You have to panic because it's gonna be minutes to
Wow.
literally less than half an hour you go on the last 20%. So there's definitely a battery management concern there. Conversely, if I look at what Honor just did in the mid-range, and we'll talk about mid-range phones in a minute, but they're also using this new type of batteries. Yeah, it's way better managed, and so I'm thinking, sometimes looking at the milliamp capacity isn't really, and I think we discussed that before here. Those numbers are great, but they're only going to be as good as the management of it. But yeah, from a camera perspective, I did not pick the S25 Ultra, which was really surprising. And even the display, I think the anti-reflectiveness is second to none. There's no phone at the moment, or no device really out there that beats this. Using it in direct. I mean, it was very sunny in Brazil. Direct sunlight. There's nothing that beats the S25 Ultra. But the brightness on the Xiaomi, and I think it has a better color spec in there as well. Just looking at that phone, despite the reflectiveness aspect, was actually just as good. So I think, I used it more than I thought I would in that trip, and it's very hard to get phone at the moment, especially for reviews. So I'm glad they let me keep it for that long, because using it for that long, to your point about, we do use it. My videos take longer because we do try to use it. Every time I rush, I regret it. So this time I'm taking my time, and it's going to be, I think, a 25-minute long at least. My next review of the Xiaomi.
On the Xiaomi.
Because
That's
because
Daniel Scuteri territory.
No, exactly. you do that's nothing, right? but yeah, when you do use something for that long, for over a month, right? On every day I used it for something. you do find little things that you don't
A
find
good and a
just
bad, yeah.
sat at your desk and unboxing it and just saying how pretty it is or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've just put a video up about the 16E, and it's interesting. All the comments go to what we're saying, actually, that, you know, Lars is somebody, good or bad, whether you like it or not, at least somebody's used it before talking about it. And it's like, I will always try to actually find out if there's something different about it and let you know, so they can hopefully make, you know, informed choices. And I mean, it is interesting. People are clocking onto the fact that a lot of these big channels aren't using the devices.
And it's not whether you're big. I mean, I'm still a relatively small channel. I mean, until you get to like 1 million, it's still no one really knows you. It's something that I've always like had a concern about was when a brand approaches me for collaboration, like Xiaomi, like Samsung, will I be able to stay true to what I do? And it's, you know, what I thought would happen, it is happening. You know, I do find it harder to talk about the problems. But refreshingly, in those two cases, like Samsung, they, like I said before, they've always been welcoming to the way, you know, I raise issues. And Xiaomi has been the same. And I was a bit of a tester my first video because, you know, it's not sponsored. I can say whatever I want. But equally, you know, there's a relationship there, and they invited me to this podcast, not podcast. Well, I think that was just as I was going to Brazil, I did this recording of
Webinar or
a
something,
live stream with them, like being their ambassador. So, so there's a relationship to maintain there, and I'm thinking, can I really say that this thing is not perfect? But I have, and I think that's the main. I think that's what people really care about. It's like, yes, there's a lot of positives, and you want to be, you know, you want to be nice to the brand that's basically giving you this opportunity. But at the same time, at what cost, right? Because I definitely don't want to lose the fact that, people come to me because they want to know, is there an actual problem in there as well? And there certainly is, you know.
And you mentioned the mid-price phone war. Now, that's possibly more interesting even than the thin phones, because there's definitely a shift. And I don't know about you guys, but I've kind of read the climate, and people are clearly sort of worried about money at the moment. You know, there's all sorts of weird things that could be going on. And I think this mid-price market is really appealing.
Mid-range,
yeah. I mean, and there's going to be a lot of heat tapping into that price range, isn't there? And as we all know, they've all got good features now. All of the major makers are going to supply you a decent phone.
Yeah. Sometimes even within the same brand. So the way I'm fairly new into this space, I mean, I haven't really reviewed a lot of mid-range phones before, apart from this year. So, but my take on it is, because there's so many options that, like, within the mid-range space, there's ranges as well. And sometimes even within a brand and their sub-brand. So Xiaomi, for example, they have Redmi, and it's crazy, right? The Poco. There's all these brands that are, you know, kind of sprawling different phones. On one side, you go, what phone do you recommend, right? And you go, well, actually, don't look at features, don't look at specs. How much money do you want to spend exactly? Because if you give me 300 quid, okay, I'll tell you which phone. 400 quid, there's a different bunch of phones. But then it gets really hard. Between that 400 and 600 pounds or $600.
Yeah, that's where the heat is.
So many, and so many good ones as well that are like, my gosh, there's a lot of features in those mid-range phones that are, and I think that's a thing that they do on purpose. Like they'll put one or two features in them that are flagship level to kind of get people, instead of, you know, upgrading their iPhones or whatever, or their Samsungs, to go and buy a cheaper mid-range phone that still has something, you know, worthwhile.
Because Samsung have had the mid-range market pretty much, well, not tied up, but they certainly concentrated on it for a long time, haven't they? They haven't ignored it.
No, they can't ignore it because it's their highest selling phones.
Certainly, yeah.
Their A series, like the A21 or like that lower level, that's the one that they move the most of. I wouldn't say it's like that in Australia. I would say Australia is actually pretty high ranked in the premium smartphone market. Like a lot of our smartphone sales are $1,200 and over, and 1,200 Australian, which is about probably 600 quid and over, because they're looking for a quality phone that they can keep hold of, because people are holding onto their phones for a lot longer. But absolutely,
Yeah.
the mid-range. But it's such a confusing space. Like Alex, there's just too much available, and there's too much that are similar, and there's like only one difference between like one phone. One's got a 8 megapixel macro, and one's got a 5.
Yeah,
And you're
like a
like,
layman's going to know that. Yeah.
which one
Yeah.
do I get? Well,
Yeah.
they're both the same phone, effectively.
Yeah.
You're not missing out.
Yeah.
Or one has the, even within the same brand, they'll have two mid-range phones, but one, I don't know, has a pro feature that can only be used in a certain, like, you
Mode,
have
or
to be in
yeah.
a certain mode. But if you want to use a zoom, oh, hang on, you can't, because that's only on the pro version. So there's definitely a lot. But then there's all these AI features as well that are becoming a differentiator. So Honor yesterday just launched their 400 series, and with that they launched this AI image to video feature, which is an AI.
Oh, so you're
thing
short
that's
about that, I
actually-
think. Yeah.
It's just Google in the back end, right? You're using Google VO, probably not the latest version, but VO2, I think, not VO4, something like that. But anyway, these things are adding another layer of complexity for us reviewing these things, because like, can you really judge a phone's like longevity? And because people buy them, you know, most people anyway, not tech reviewers, right? They'll buy them because they want to keep it for at least 2-3 years. Do they care about, you know, an AI feature, or do they care about support? Do they care about, you know, the fact that it's not going to scratch easily or break the screen very often? You know, at that mid-range level, there's a lot of I think there's a different approach to reviewing these phones, rather than look at this AI feature, look at this you know, telephoto zoom. It's not about that for those people. You know, people
No, it's
buying
not.
those phones, they want something that will last 4 or 5 years, maybe even, right?
And something I wrote about at the beginning of the week and mentioned this week's video is it's got to this point of just because we can doesn't mean we should. I.e., I referenced cars, and I said it went through this thing with cars. Everything was a touchscreen. Everything. You couldn't turn a button. I said, but then people ask, it's actually a pain in the ass to try and set your climate control with a slider. It's much easier just to have a button. And it's kind of the same with the phones. Just because we can do everything doesn't necessarily mean we need it on our phones. You know, everything we put on there is going to drain the battery more. And there's almost this clarion call now. Let's just have the really good things that we want, the things we're going to use, and focus on making those usable and easy to use. And, you know, we've seen how clever we can get. We've seen all the feature sets that can go on there. Brilliant, wonderful. But let's just focus heavily on the things we're going to use every day.
Yeah, I do like the fact that there's fierce competition in that space, but it's getting
It can only be good.
In that mid-range space. It's really hard to recommend something, because you can
throw a
literally
dart.
close your eyes and
close
just
your eyes,
grab
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we said that Alex is using the S25. And what's your sort of second phone? Is it the Xiaomi at the moment? Is your second phone, is it? Or the Honor?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I've got too many fingers in too many pies right now. But
So he's
yeah,
carrying
I'm
three.
using the Oppo, which is I owe them a review on this one. I haven't really.
Right.
They've been so nice to me, and I haven't done. I've recorded lots of content, but the Xiaomi is at the moment my second one. Yeah, this week is hard because there's a phone launch, so I've been using the Honor. This is the Honor 400 Pro. Let me show you quickly here on screen. It looks gorgeous, actually. Very nice display, very nice phone. So this is my second phone. But next week I'll probably go back to Xiaomi.
And Daniel, you were seconding the foldable for a long time, weren't you? But has it now become the Edge?
Yep, the Edge. Yep. And I just bought one. So this is the loan one from Samsung that I got for 2 weeks.
You put some skin in the game. Have you actually bought one?
I decided that if I'm going to talk about how great it is, I'm going to buy it. And I bought a black one, so that's going to arrive soon.
That looks good.
Got a good deal with a trade-in. I traded in an S25 Ultra that's sitting here doing nothing.
What specs did you go for?
Just the base 256.
Right.
Like, I don't think I'll need more storage with it because I'm probably not going to capture a lot of photos with it. It's just going to be a great second phone to sit in my pocket, have really good social. Like if I want to do like a long Samsung Note session on here, it's not too heavy, like stuff like that.
Yeah, my S24 Ultra. Remember last time we spoke over a month ago now?
Yes, the battery.
My S24 Ultra had, so they sent it back to me and said that because they found debris in there or whatever, basically they can't do anything about it unless I pay, I think it was £60 to fix. So, I just instead of fixing it and charging me, they sent it back. So I'm like, oh,
It's got all that
now I
hassle
have to
again.
spend-
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's here.
Yeah.
I might just give it away to a viewer. Just be clear that look, there's something up with the battery. It works. It's still an awesome phone, but I don't know. It might be a nicer thing to do, or maybe I'll do what Daniel's saying. It's use it as a trade in for my next phone, or whatever that might be.
I'd do that. That's probably the better option.
And over the last week, 10 days, CarPlay Ultra has finally landed.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, only in one car at the moment. Now, I've got some
Who
thoughts
asked
on
for
this.
it?
I tell you, asked for it, Apple, because every time you launch CarPlay, they get their 30%. So they're very keen. They're very keen for you to have CarPlay running. Thank you very much, says the cynic in me. So yeah, at the moment, you can have CarPlay if you've got a spare £150,000 to go and get an Aston Martin. But things will change. I mean, that's the requirements. You need iPhone 12 or later, 18.5 or later, and an Aston Martin.
And an Aston.
That's a caveat
How
at the moment. Now, let me just say, I think we all know it's been a long time in coming. I think my sneak suspicion is that a lot of the car manufacturers decided to push back when they weren't sure if there was going to be a full-blown Apple car. And why would they want to let Apple walk into their cars and run their infotainment systems if suddenly Apple were going to be in the car game? And I think now it's clear that Apple aren't going that route. Manufacturers are opening up. We've got Hyundai, Kia, Genesis and Porsche all signed up for it. The only big one that's made a noise of saying they're not anything to do with it is Mercedes. He doesn't want a thing to do with it. I think he was on Decoder talking about it with Neil Patel recently saying, no, it's just not for us. But looking at it, it's actually got some really neat features. The main features, two big things that I think have changed. The main cluster in front of you becomes CarPlay driven. So and basically Apple will ship you the skin of it, and it's up to which manufacturer has it as to how they want to make it look. So yeah, Aston's gone for the kind of very green and English look, and it's got made in Britain at the bottom and blah, blah, blah. But then you can shift that. And if you want it to just look like an iPhone display in front of you with bars and graphs, you can go that route. So your main cluster is now driven by CarPlay Ultra, and that's the biggest change. And the other thing is this punch-through thing. So when you've been used to, say, if you've upgraded your sound system in the car, say you've got Bowers Wilkins or whatever, and you want to alter the sound and quality in that, before you used to have to leave CarPlay to do that, whereas now you don't have to. Now you can do everything through CarPlay, so you can punch through to native apps within the car, still launch within CarPlay. So it looks like it will be a decent step forward. And clearly, once the other manufacturers, particularly Kia, Hyundai and Genesis, I know they're kind of one thing, but once they begin pushing it out into the market, that's when it's going to become real. But it's just interesting to see what they've been working on and how their vision of it is. The Aston hasn't got particularly big centre display. It's not sort of Tesla size. It's a fairly, more blown up iPhone-y kind of on its side kind of size. So once these cars begin getting bigger displays, and then you can see it, I think then the CarPlay Ultra kind of makes sense. But yes, it is also the fact that Apple are very keen for you to have it, because of course they're making money every time you launch it and use it. They're no mugs. So that was the big news from Apple. It's finally come out, and it was all released just on press release. And I say the fact that Aston's gone with it, I think premium brand, it kind of ties into the way Apple like to align themselves. And then WWDC, well, we're going to talk about that properly next time out, because as luck would have it, our next pod falls 2 days before WWDC. So we'll there's bits we know that are coming. The main thing seems that the Audio OS are going to be much more aligned, and possibly we're going to get a menu bar on the iPad, so it's more Mac-ish. But we'll wait and see. And obviously it's going to be a big redesign, apparently the biggest redesign since iOS 7. But we'll go into that a little bit later on.
We've heard that before.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, I think, could be they know they need to kind of disguise the elephant in the room and give us something big and give us something really... Because let's face it, the good thing with WWDC is it makes your older device look and feel new. You suddenly got something new to play with. You've got new icons. Like or hate it, we're all nerds here. I've just spent ages personalising the screen on my phone this week, and it's made me very, very happy. It looks really lovely. But, that's because we're nerds. We enjoy playing around with that kind of shit. But, I think so. It is important that you get that refresh and they see which direction they're going to go. And I'm sure it's going to be more Vision Pro kind of styling. That seems to be the way they're going with it.
I think I've read every year for the last 3 years that this will be the biggest iOS redesign in history. Every year, without fail.
I think they need to, though.
WWDC, that is the thing that they say. iOS 17, the biggest redesign to iOS ever. And it's just the same as the year before.
Yeah, but I think this year it's to disguise the foul up they made last year. I think they need to deliver something big to try and just quell some of the bad press that's been out there. Of which,
I don't think.
I just want to find a quote of something. Just carry on amongst yourselves a moment.
I was just going to say the look and feel of iOS, I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with it. I think it's fine. What they're missing is functionality, like is features. It's like the ability to use the screen, especially on the Pro Max, use that screen better, not just a single app every time. Just better management of, of the OS. At the moment, it's just, this refresh of the look is, I don't think people will care about it because they're Apple suckers. But in reality, they need to come up. Maybe it's an AI feature that works. Maybe get rid of Siri completely. That would be bold, right? So we got rid of Siri and we actually just put a new AI thing in there. And
well, I've got a short coming out about that later today, actually. They've got a team now based in Zurich full-time working on the new LLM version of Siri. And what they're doing, if you sign up to the developers program, they are using some of your real-world data to help train and see. They'll take, it never leaves your device, it's just a code that's sent, and they'll see how close your reply is to the data that they're thinking it should be. So that's how they're working on it now. But I've got a short comment about that.
5 years late, yeah. Everyone else.
Yeah. Because I mean, there was a lot of infighting going on. And Craig Federighi didn't want to invest big money in AI, and John Giandria, I think his name is, who was at Google and was then headhunted over to Apple. He didn't like the direction they were going, and he didn't think people wanted chatbots on their phones. And that's a guy that's come from Google, was headhunted. So there's been one mess up after another, Siri. But it was I did a short last week, and I put the name Trump in the title of the short, and it's done pretty well, I think, purely because I mentioned Donald Trump. But taken aside Apple out of this, is this how a grown man should talk to somebody else? Bear in mind it is the president, but nonetheless, this is what Trump said. I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday. I said to him, my friend, I treated you very good. You're coming here with 500 billion, but I know you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India. We put up with all those plants you built in China for years. We're not interested in building in India. India can take care of themselves. I mean, you shouldn't be speaking to another man like that, surely. It's just, anyway, we know, I'm not going to get political, but it just made me laugh.
I'm wearing a MAGA hat, so I can't say anything.
That's not a MAGA hat.
It's the right colours. The peak's up, we can't quite see it.
No,
Dip
exactly.
down. But yeah, it just made me laugh reading that. I mean, I say we're not going to go into the politics route, but anyway, so that's kind of rounded things up from the Apple side of the fence as well. And then I think we were sort of going to begin talking about how YouTube is a little bit all over the shop at the moment.
Yeah. I something that helped me kind of stay a little bit more relaxed in the last month was that one video is popping off still, which is that iPhone versus S25 Ultra. It's like almost 700,000 views. Crazy. So I didn't, it's insane. And every day does that lovely, that lovely graph of up and down, up and down. But I haven't really looked into a lot of the detail, but a lot of people I'm talking to are saying that their channels are basically dying right now, and nothing works, So I do wonder, and I have noticed. I think I did a Book 5 Pro, admittedly, and a device that is not new anymore. I was myself a month old, and when it got to me, it was already not a month old, but a month late. But when the device got to me, I think it was already 2 months since it had been released. So the interest isn't there, but yeah, I was expecting it to be doing a bit better than just, I think, 2,000 something views. But so I'm not sort of feeling it too much because I can explain one video. But some people are saying it's been happening for a few weeks now, that they've noticed a clear change in how the videos that they knew was kind of a sure thing, and he's just not behaving at all.
Well, also I've noticed, clearly my viewing habits are, not particularly widespread. I mean, they go from tech into kind of camera and cinematography kind of thing, if you're broadly speaking. But a lot of the creators I watch aren't uploading at the moment either. Where you could rely on somebody uploading every week, suddenly they're going 2 or 3 weeks, and you're thinking, well, why is the momentum changing? You know, these are often big channels, 2-3 mil subscribe, and you're thinking, well, what, are they reading the game? Are they thinking the summer's just a little bit quieter? I mean, Daniel, I know we were talking that last pod, and you were saying you're lucky because obviously you had the Edge coming out and you had content you could make. But I mean, how are you finding it standing up on views?
The Edge has been a funny one.
I bet it has been.
I was anticipating a little bit of a stronger response from the audience. It's been
because it's different, isn't it? That's kind of been the sort of Damocles on it. It's different, and people aren't. Do I want to watch it?
Like the videos across both Sam Mobile and on my channel aren't really landing. Like something's wrong with the Edge is on 9.1 thousand. The Ultra versus the Edge from yesterday is at 5.6, which I only uploaded 20 hours ago. And look, had that been my metrics 2 years ago, 5.6 thousand views after a day, I'd be running around the house screaming how excited I am. So I've got to put it in perspective what it's coming from. But when you make this your business and you use this as your income, lower views means lower revenue. So I got to put it in perspective as to where I am now as well and be like, well,
exactly
the
what
lower
you expect of yourself,
is a little bit concerning. And I'm like, well, what do I do to change that? And I think it's just a matter of going back to what the audience subscribed for. And predominantly, the audience has subscribed to me for comparisons, tutorials, tips and tricks, hidden features, and Samsung decks. They're like the 5 core things that my audience is here for. And I've kind of strayed away a little bit from it, not because I don't want to make the other stuff. It's more because I've had other opportunities sort of present themselves, like the event I went to in Sydney for the appliances. You know, I've had a similar one last week where I went to Sydney for TVs and got to see an 8K TV. And I'm like, well, I'd be dumb not to make a video. It's all about a portfolio. But yeah, I think I have noticed a bit of a viewing shift. It could be because of summer, but I'm kind of putting it down to the content I'm making isn't as sort of my stable stuff than what I'm normally do. Yeah, my lane. I'm kind of diversifying within it a little bit, and it's kind of maybe impacting it.
So there's this other creator who I don't know if you guys know. He's from the UK. He's called Paul Hibbert. He does like smart home stuff. Really good. I mean, his videos are insanely produced. I mean, for that niche, I don't think there's anyone that goes to that level of editing and entertainment. I mean, his videos are hilarious to watch, but they're talking about like automation at home. It's all about smart home stuff. He posted a video this week or last week. It's got the AVD of 8 minutes. It's like a 12-minute video. It's got 8-minute AVD in tech. It's unheard of. I mean, I've never seen 8 minutes, even on a 20-minute long video. I don't see that in my videos. So yeah, he's getting 8 minutes. Awesome feedback, but he noticed that once he's gone to his initial,
it's done.
That's it. The video.
There's no second wave.
He went to his audience, and he reckons, because he's doing this every week, right? And every video is taking off, and every video that does that takes off. The only thing that's different about this one is that he's talking about a product that directly competes against Google. So he's talking about the new Alexa, basically, and it's obviously not a good, not good for Google Home or whatever. So there's definitely something that he reckons that the algorithm has stuff in it that says, right, if you're promoting other stuff that goes against Google, they're not going to push it. Because there's no other metric.
May I just say on this podcast, we love Google. I just want that very clearly out there for the bots
Google
listening to. We love.
I can't get. Oh my gosh! A Gemini, Google AI, Google I/O, all the SEO,
corporate chills.
In fact, I hate.
Personally, I use a Pixel Pro as my main phone. Little
Amazon
known
are
fact,
the worst.
But yeah.
So there's no other metrics. The only thing that he can point out is this fact, and I'm like, I
wonder the truth of how the algorithm actually works. But then equally, we've all got bankers. We all know that we go and make a video about X and it will do well for us. But okay, for the people that are loyal to your channel, coming back and seeing the same video every week is pretty boring. For us making that video, and we all know, we've all done it, you can take the same video, pretty much rejig it around and almost just repurpose a video from 3 months ago and put it out. And if it's on one of your bankers, you know you're going to get decent views, a bit of ad rev off of it, and so on. But it's boring for us, and it's boring for the core of your channel. That's what you were saying, Daniel, that, you know, there's a core of people that come back, they love your tutorials, they love the hidden features, which if you suddenly begin going away from that, which, you know, it's your core audience that want that, but then it's a very fine line to tread, isn't it?
How do you expand, right? That's been the challenge for me since day one. Is like, on one hand, you go, right, to get new audience, you need to talk about different things. But YouTube is like, no, if your current audience doesn't like that new thing, then we're not going to push it to other people. So it has to be, I think, you know, there's a case of perseverance. Sometimes I'm like, I'm so stubborn, I'm going to do this until it works. And sometimes it just doesn't. I think desk setups is one of them that doesn't matter what I do, it won't work. And it would be something that I would love doing. But it's something that I gave up on. Unless there's an opportunity to make a video that will pay well to sustain the channel, great. But I'm not going to go out of my way, because I know for whatever reason that segment within tech doesn't work on my channel. That's one of many. There's quite a few that sustain. We're like, why is it like that? Right? It's like, anyway.
I'm gonna run an experiment next month. I've pre-ordered a Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm like,
oh, you're making a video on it?
Well, I was like, do I just make a video purely on that? It's through, my brother owns a online gaming store, so I pre-ordered through him, and he might get it early. So I'm like, well, if I get it before anyone else, there's an opportunity there to do something. But then the other side of me is like, well, instead of maybe trying to go an exclusive Switch 2 sort of video, what if I did a comparison of handheld console versus S25 Ultra gaming, and see if I can align it that way. So at least it kind of appeal a little bit to the audience.
The Samsung audience,
people who were interested in, like, well, do I need a console, or can I just get away with my phone?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a little bit of an
the AK telly. There's another.
Sure. If Samsung want to send me one. Because it was like a 14 grand TV. It was amazing.
Right.
But like, there's like elements
so
of,
just to
like,
be clear, if Google made an 8K TV, Google's TV would be better. I just want that to be out there.
Amazing. Yeah, everything they do
unbelievable.
is the best.
Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. Even if it was a full HD TV, it'd be incredible.
I think so, like, that could be an interesting switch if you do using your phone as a gaming console. Yeah, there you go. See, we all like the Switch is big news. That could work well for you, and particularly if you do get it early.
Yeah,
particularly if you get it early, that could.
That's the aim. Obviously, as well, it would be great to be able to just write off games on tax. So there's lots of advantages to this sort of happening.
It's a win-win, isn't it? All over.
Yeah, I've got the first Switch now. I'm like currently testing the first Switch with this, and it's not bad. So I'm just I'll get to see the comparison to the new Switch, and then obviously I'll do the comparison to the phone gaming, and that's my angle. So I'll see how it goes. We can report on it as I go.
When's that landing with you, do you think?
Well, I think the Switch is like 2 weeks away, 5th of June. So it's not far.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to either get moving really quickly to try and get it.
Yeah, because you need to get ahead of it, don't you?
I need to get ahead of it. And the good thing is, obviously, I've got time because it's all I can do. And they're still waiting for the next Samsung thing. So I've got a bit of time to kill before that happens.
I don't know if either of you guys know. I was watching, I forget who it was I was watching at the weekend. It was one of these more sort of YouTube analytic-y type videos. And they were saying that there can be videos that you put up on your channel that initially just flat, do nothing. And then over time, the algorithm finds who that audience is and who that video is. Have you ever had a video that was just dead for months, suddenly pop?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I did a sponsored video, actually. I had a sponsored video for some dedicated sponsored video that was for a phone recovery, like recover your locked out phone. Like if you've locked yourself out of your phone, here's how you can get back into it using this software. And I titled it like really search heavy, and it tanked, absolutely tanked. The brand were pissed. Everything was upsetting. And it was like sitting on maybe 2,000 or 3,000 views for months. And then all of a sudden it's just slowly started ticking upward, and it's on 43,000 views now. And I just don't know how.
You don't know why?
it's all browse features and search features, YouTube search, and it's just slowly ticking along to that level. I'm like, huh. So if you can get it right with a topic that you know people will search for, it will
eventually.
live.
Yeah.
You just have to be patient and sort of accept the fact that it's going to die initially, and then slowly continue to tick upward as time goes on.
Yeah. So I've deleted videos before because they didn't perform, and sometimes I think I should have left it, but sometimes it's like, okay, this one I just have to write it off because it was just, it didn't work. I think it was an Apple Watch one that was like embarrassing. Like, so when you're trying to get new business, people will go and look at the channel. So it's like, do I want that in there sticking out like a sore thumb? So I made a call to, I don't think I've made it private just in case there's a new Apple Watch and maybe that's still relevant, but I think it was AirTags, probably my third or fourth video that I've ever made on the channel. Yeah, it was a silly video and did nothing for months, and still today still gets views, comments, and I hate the video, but it brings people in. So and I tried to find, I think back in the day when I was really into like figuring out whether about the data, I figured out the initial spike came from a specific city in the US. Because I saw a relation with the spike in the channel and the spike on my website, because I posted the article in there, and it was from this town. And turns out there was an article in a newspaper that got people into that, and I think that then created the algorithm. Just okay, people are watching this. Hate the video, but it's one of those random ones that probably the one that I remember the most. Can't really.
I think shorts have an opportunity for that too. There was a short I made on Sam Mobile, and it was dead for almost a year, and you can kind of see if I can.
It's reflecting.
Right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
That's good.
Flat, and then bang, it's now over 1 million. It's got 1.1. It's my most viewed bit of content I've ever made.
And what was it about?
It's still getting. It's just how to background play YouTube videos in Samsung Internet.
Yeah. So yeah.
So not YouTube Premium. So without YouTube Premium, sorry Google, you didn't hear that. We love you. Sign up for YouTube Premium. It's amazing. And I guess people search for it because it's been one of the most viewed bit of content I made, and it's just ticked up out of nowhere.
Yesterday, I made this horrible short. I think it was about AirPods. I think they even had earwax on. I mean, it's embarrassingly bad. And I looked yesterday, it's done 155,000. And all I'm telling is how to swipe up the volume, literally showing you that's how you turn the volume up. And you're thinking, why? Do you not, if you go and buy £250 AirPod Pros, do you not kind of already know how to flick the volume?
No,
I'm not. No, clearly not.
You're giving Apple users too much credit.
But it's just like that's why we make content, right? You throw things out there. Something's going to stick. Something's going to fail. We kind of learn from it a bit. I'm not as hooked on analytics as I was before. I've got a bit more relaxed on that now.
But it's interesting that both of those examples are helping people, right? And that made me remember. I had another one that was I watched a tutorial on the brand's website on how to apply a screen protector on the Apple Watch. And I hated that because I couldn't follow it and it kept failing. So I did my own and basically said, this is what should have been on that website. It got so fed up and uploaded. And that, for a while,
that's popped.
I mean, I don't know what it's doing now, but it was for a while my most viewed piece of video as well. But it was just me showing people how to do it.
A couple of weeks ago when you were away, Daniel and I were speaking about one of them. Do you remember I put that video up about kind of how I create, how I go through during the week to create my content? I think we talked about it a bit, Daniel. And it's interesting, again, it's getting back to that thing of helping people. I'm going to make more of those through the summer as well, because it's not doing incredibly well, but it hasn't died. And I think it's that giving back. People are really interested. There's a lot of people out there think they might want to start a channel. If you show them, well, look, it's not actually rocket science. If you go step by step and do this, and if you do this little bit to the audio, because I just sort of breeze through things. I didn't go in depth on video, audio, and in some I'd really like to see what you're doing with the audio. It's like, okay, fine, I can do a video, but I think again, it's one of those ones you've got to just realise, no, it's not going to necessarily do well immediately, but it is giving back, and it's going to help people.
If a video is ticking along at 250 views a day, like that's sort of my sort of range at the moment, is the ones that are living about 250 a day. That's almost 1,000 a week.
Mm-hmm.
You tally that up over the course of a year, that's potentially 35 to 50,000 views if it sort of scales up and down across the year. That's great. Like, that'll look great on your channel, even though it's not the sugar hit of an instant 100 or 200,000 video, which are great. They're great to look at and they look good, but sometimes you just need those ones that will just slowly sort of tick along, and you just have to be patient with it.
And something else I've noticed definitely now, because I'm seeing the comments coming on older videos, is people are staying on the channel longer. They're going back to older videos and watching things. Now, I think I've done something to prompt that, because in the description, they're all playlist links, not video links. So once they click on a video about, so that week, like this week, it was, that the iPhone 16e. So the link at the top is my iPhone playlist. So if somebody clicks on that, they're suddenly in and somebody recommended that to me. I thought that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's helped. I think it's genuinely helped, because people are staying on the channel longer. So my ad rev's slightly better, and old videos are getting, as you just said, Daniel, constant views ticking along, which has all got to help.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us know the exact answers, but I think we're all sort of like thinking, and interesting, we're all thinking of little ideas, just ways to fudge the game, to make things work for our channels, just to get viewers to stay on longer and watch longer and come back more and so on.
Yeah.
You know who does know the answers?
Who would that be?
Our amazing overlords at Google and YouTube.
Google, that's the ones.
Praise them. They are incredible.
And may I just say thank you, Google UK and Ireland. My ad defence check has landed this morning as well. So, Google, I love you even a little bit more this morning as well.
Sorry, Alex. You were going to say something serious.
No, it wasn't. It was just an interesting book. So it was, if every video was like this, right? But I do remember struggling. It took me 3 weeks to edit it, and it took me about 2 months to get all the footage for it. So you can't do this video all the time. But it was like the iPhone versus S25 Ultra. Is almost at 700,000, like I said, and he's doing 10,000 per 48 hours still.
Wow.
And 5,300 people subscribe to that to the channel just on that video. Of course, it's been 2 months now, so it's
but still, that's crazy healthy. Those numbers,
So that kind of kept the channel going whilst I was on holiday, which is amazing, right? Because if he hadn't, maybe I would have been more pressure to create content.
Did you get the DTs? Did you get the shakes? Did you miss uploading?
No, I knew I had to create content, but I didn't miss editing at all. I took two laptops or 3 laptops in case I needed to. I had it there, but I thought no, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't die. Right, everything was fine. I'm glad I was able to not work that way. I mean, it was working, but it was like in a nice way. It was like I was
working in the background.
What I love, like taking photos when you're on holiday. It doesn't really feel like work, right?
Speaking as someone who did some editing whilst I was
just going to talk about that. Yeah.
I can agree with Alex's stance of like, nah.
Would you do it again? Would you switch off? Work and fly on the fly like that?
It depends. I was still, I guess, building. I guess I still am building the YouTube channel. It's like 71,000 now. I'd love to crack that 100K. And I think if I went away, I'd still feel that pressure of, well, I need to have something while I'm gone. Weirdly enough, those 4 videos
ahead, right?
Yeah, I just bulk recorded a bunch of stuff and had it all done so that I could just tinker with the edits while I was overseas. And it didn't take much. My daughter would have a nap and I'd just sit down and finish it. But I think... Yeah. But I was like you, when I was over there, everything was a content opportunity. Like we were walking the streets of Palermo and I'm like, you know what I can do? Tips on how to take the best photos while traveling. And I just screen recorded everything I did on the camera and then turned it into a video when I got home. That video is on 160,000 views. And I'm like, well, I'm glad I did that because, I turned something into something. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there are bits of my Xiaomi video. Hopefully, I'll upload it this weekend or early next week. That I recorded loads in Brazil. I actually forgot, because it was so long ago as well. So I came back. I was going through the footage. Oh my gosh, I'm glad I've recorded that there, because obviously, not only does it look nice, but it adds. I love doing that anyway, right? To just re-record bits of my A-roll in a different setting. So It was work, but it felt like it was an enjoyable thing to do rather than feeling like, oh my gosh, I got to record this, or I got to edit this. Yeah, it was nice. I definitely recommend people, if you go away, you're a content creator, perhaps don't focus so much on uploading, but on creating,
capturing,
just capture and record stuff. Even if you don't think you need, I mean, I just asked ChatGPT, give me 10 lines that I could use later in a video that would kind of fit, this is the gear I've got. And they gave me a few ideas that some were crap, but I used a few. I think I got 5 good ones. I said, talking about the Galaxy Watch Ultra, while I'm here in Brazil doing this, and the other bit will be, or here in England doing that. So, there's those clips that are so like useful to have for this little,
I think
intros or whatever.
I mean, sadly, people would notice I'm the only little Billy No Mates that hasn't been away on holiday anywhere. But aside of that, I'm going to just make believe for a moment here. This week's video, earlier that day, I was meeting somebody about another job, and we went to a pub near me and sat in the garden. And I just looked around and thought, it's quiet and it's gorgeous. So I came back here to the studio, took a chance, just grabbed up tripods, cameras, went back and said, would you mind if I go? And they said, whatever you want. And they were lovely. They gave me coffee and water and let me spend the afternoon there. It was right out of my comfort zone because I was shooting outdoors, not in an under controlled environment.
So
but it's told a story. But it's told a story, and it lets people walk into your life a little bit and just see, we've got some lovely summer sun at the moment, and it just looks fresh and different. So I just thought it's either going to completely fail, and the worst bit is I've spent the afternoon in the sun shooting a load of crap, or I come back and luckily I kind of did my job, and it just, I don't know, just looked fresh and different rather than always being the same scenes. Just trying to push yourself like that just makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I need to get better at that. 100%.
Yeah.
You do a fair bit outside, don't you? Do your beach shots and...
Yeah, but it's not me talking to camera. Like, it's more me just capturing whilst I'm there. And it's very not haphazard. There's no structure or planning to it. The idea, like, you look at, again, friend of the show, Samuel Nam, you look at one of his videos, he jumps in so many different locations across months of capturing stuff. And it's just all ways of just keeping you engaged. It's got this really nice flow to it.
Oh, I'm like,
that he's a professional at it. Like, that's his job. His video production is what he does. And he's just so good at it. But it's why he's grown so quickly. And I'm like, I need to try and draw inspiration from that type of thing, right? And incorporate it to make mine feel a little bit fresh, because mine's been the same since I started. I
think changing it up a bit. Because I know, Alex, you do a fair bit of where you'll be talking about a product and then you'll chop to the park and be talking about the same thing, obviously planning, that's clearly a planned part of your script and video. You know that you're going to break at some point to go outside and record that section.
Yeah, sometimes I think I mentioned this before, he helped, and I was talking to, there's a chap called Mike. I met him for the first time, even though I know him for so long doing this stuff. Mike from Team VRI, who's on Twitter, and we probably all know him. But yeah, he was in person at the event yesterday. We were talking about content, and we got talking to Ben from Lover of Tech.
Oh yeah,
I think he was also in your Samsung.
He was Sam Mobile. He was, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we were just talking about the struggles and the things and what helped us, what didn't help. One of the things that I've noticed that, I got better at going up to people and say, do you mind if I record here? And obviously I'll tag you on Instagram or whatever. And they will always say yes. No cafe or restaurant will say no to that. So I got better just going up to them and asking. The second thing is, I noticed while I was on holiday that I was more unafraid to just pick up the camera in like a vlogger style and do it. But the upshot of that was, immediately, sometimes people will go, do I know this person or not? And they're probably not, because you're not like a superstar, right? But the minute you hold a camera, it's incredible what that does to other, because and this was Peter Lindgren, who kind of in a podcast ages ago said to me and Patrick, said that, look, at the end of the day, there's people around you, they're not the ones with a mortgage, with the bills to pay, right? Well, they do, but what you're doing is, they have nothing to do with that. So just basically F them and just obviously without being intrusive and whatever. So I always, even in a hotel, like when there's people around, I always say, just so you know, I'm over there in that corner. I'll be recording stuff for my video. You'll be completely out of focus. So don't worry. Right. And if you want to look at the footage, no problem. Or if I'm flying the drone, I always say it's the same. So look, I'm looking over there. I'm not interested. But people are always so nice and always like, yeah, don't worry. And some people will actually start asking questions about, Oh, what is it that you do? What's your channel and whatever?
The thing is, we take it for granted what we kind of get up and do each day, and you know, it does become a little bit of a job, a really lovely job, and a job we will love doing. But I was in the opticians a couple of weeks back, and I went in, and this lovely lady sat me down, began talking, said, well, you know, filling out about eye health. What do you do? And I said, well, I spend a lot of time.
Safe for work, just before work.
It's absolutely safe.
It's not going to demonetize the channel.
No, I was with a lovely lady in a dark room, but it's all good. It's all safe. Honestly, nothing untoward happened. Google don't need to worry about it. There's nothing unsavoury about to come out
Google.
of.
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned that a moment ago. Google. Yeah, premium person. I subscribe to premium.
Can't get enough of it.
But I began telling her what I do because obviously, you know, eye health, and so I said I would spend a lot of time in front of the screen. She said, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I make videos." The next 20 minutes, we were talking. I said, "You actually sound interested." He said, "Everybody comes in and says I work in IT." Suddenly I get somebody who comes in that looks like they really enjoy what they're doing and is talking about something different, and it's just really interesting because I guess, you know, she sits down in that little room every day just to you know, gaze into people's eyes and be told about working on Excel spreadsheets or something, and we take it for granted, but you know, it's lucky we chanced our alarm, we've gone out there and done it, but nonetheless
it's awesome the amount of doors that it opens. It's incredible. I mean, there's some perks, but there's also obviously you know, enjoying the fruits of that, you know, kind of answers the question that I asked pretty much on a weekly basis. What the fuck am I doing at 3 a.m. editing this video? Those perks answer that question, right? Because like, okay, that's why. You know, I get to do this. Yeah, it's brilliant.
We've done a long one, boys. Got through a lot there. So we will be back just before WWDC in a couple of weeks' time. So we'll be talking. We could unpack. Thank you. A little bit then, and run through what might be coming up on the Monday after that. But also, just to make sure you all know, you might have noticed we've now got shorts going up regularly on the -16 channel. And also, if you listen to us on Spotify, you will now find the videos on Spotify as well. You can thank one very long, late Sunday working out how to do that. But I got there in the end. And you can imagine I was so wide. Shit, is this going to take down all of our previous podcasts? If I take this box, what's going to happen? All good. I've worked it out. So
we did get a call from Joe Rogan's team. They are concerned
too busy
about our growth and our expansion. So
yeah, well, rightly so. Fuck them. Right. Right, we will be back in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you to everybody for watching, listening, subscribing, getting in touch and everything. And let's try and get to that 1,000 subs by the end of the year. That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. Chaps, see you in a couple of weeks' time.
See you then.